Всі вже готові.
Dear colleagues, we're continuing our working day, and now we'll talk about, well, I will invite Chief Architect of Kyiv, Serhiy Tselovalnyk, and Natalia Kondel-Perminova, who is an architect and head of the Council of Civil Experts of the contest, and they will introduce to us the presentation of the international open contest TERRA DIGNITAS, the Territory of Dignity. So the floor is yours. Good afternoon, dear all. Almost a month ago, here, I was telling the journalists about the contest, and I'll probably just say a few words today in order to pass the floor to experts of the contest who are here. I just want to emphasize that the contest, and you see the explanation on the screen, this is the open international contest of architects, and for the first time in Ukraine, including both socialist and independent times, was prepared and formed on the basis of openness and public character, public nature, where the public have formulated the tasks, and the public also have provided answers to their own intentions. The department that I had is a tool here. The authorities are present as a tool here when we can organize something, may help people meet, listen to their intentions, but the decision is adopted by the public. And in order to do this, the public have created an expert council who met every week, sometimes every day, for discussions. They have put forward the members of the public expert group who will talk to you later. Now you can see photos from every such session. And I told you that the authorities here are just a tool in this contest. And I also want to tell you that we want to give Kyiv back to Kyivans. We try to create a public space that will be used for new social practices that came to life during the Maidan, during the Revolution of Dignity. You understand that the revolution has defined the final going away from our totalitarian, authoritarian past, and this will be corroborated by the results of the contest. I still cannot tell you which idea will be selected as best. However, I do know that the project will be chosen under which the architectural reality of Maidan will be pleasant, attractive, and will work, as architects say, for people and for social practices. So I introduce experts who were selected by the public. Natalia Kondel-Perminova is an architect, and she's also head of this public experts contest. Vladislava Smak, who is the secretary of this council, she is here. She'll probably come to be with us here at the rostrum. She is a scholar of culture. Mikhailo Kalnitsky is a historian. You know his books dedicated to the history of Kyiv. Philosopher Svetlana Slipchenko is here, an expert of overcoming the after effects of mass traumatic events. Serhiy here, Dmitro Guryev, who is an expert in mass communication, and Hanna Gulevska-Chernish, who is a director of the Ukrainian Forum of Charity Activists. And now the floor goes to Natalia Kondel-Perminova. I want to add to what Serhiy told you, that people who were not introduced to you who were just introduced to you, represent another Sotnya born by Maidan. This is the Contest 100. The Contest 100 is a search for answers to the question, the third Maidan, what shall it look like? Everybody knows that Maidan that happened in 2013-14 is the revolution of dignity. So according to the opinion of a public who for 8 months have actively worked on formulating the ideas of the contest, we have to transform almost 80 hectares in the center of Kyiv, where those events took place, into the territory of dignity, and we have to start this work now so that soon the entire Ukraine becomes the territory of dignity. That's why TERRA DIGNITAS, Territory of Dignity, is the title of the open international contest with an international jury that was launched on the 1st of December. These 2 volumes have contain the result of the work of volunteers who worked on these 2 volumes. These are the program and conditions and clauses of the contest, and almost 500 creative groups from 40 countries of the world are working now, participating in the contest. The aim was to determine the best conceptual proposals in 4 nominations. First category that was defined as a result of broad public discussion has the title, The Public Space of Maidan and the Central Nucleus of Kyiv. This is the territory of 25 hectares that embraces the entire Khreshchatyk Street, starting from the Shevchenko Boulevard, the place where the monument to Lenin stood, and it also engulfs Kostolna Street and Mariinsky Park. The events of the Revolution of Dignity have radically transformed the character of this space. There's a public demand for the streets and squares in the centers of Ukrainian cities that would promote the values of the Revolution of Dignity. And this is freedom, unity, dignity, and the contest has to provide proposals about certain garland of public proposals about potential and existing possibilities of developing this space as a public space for meetings, not for trade. The second category is memorialization of the events of the Revolution of Dignity and commemoration of the memory of the heroes of the Heavenly Hundred. And this concerns the space from Mikhailivska Square to Lavrska Street, from Bessarabska Square to European to Khreshchaty Yar, ravine. As a result of continued public discussion, it turned out that most of the people do not require a monument. They need a common space to relive those impressions as they become our common asset. The realization of the ideas of the Revolution of Dignity shall become the foundation for the understanding that we were united and that's why we won. And I quote one of the ideas: we have to commemorate not the image of tragedy, but the image of the people who were going towards the victory and who achieved victory. And here we have to convey to the future the better life and the idea of every person taking part in deciding the fate of the country. So it is about best scenarios and tools to use this space to create and convey emotional feelings of many people in order to achieve one goal: to live in a free country. And this nomination is about why people came to Maidan and what for the heroes of the 100 died. Then category number 3 is a nomination for the International Cultural Center, and the name of this center is very symbolic: Ukrainian House on the European Square.
This house was built in the beginning of 1980s as the branch of the Central Museum to Lenin, as the main ideological institution in Soviet times. During the Revolution of Dignity, Ukrainian House has become the arena of opposition between the protesters and the authorities. Here there was a hospital, the library of Maidan, and this way the internal space has been transformed, and these transformations are to be legitimized in this nomination. We expect that this building and the adjacent territory will turn into the International Cultural Center, Ukrainian House on European Square, and the public space with the maximum number of different formats of use and successful financial model. The name Ukrainian House and European Square reflects the requirement of the community to reflect the image of Ukraine. Ukrainian House and Ukrainian Square has become the place for absolute freedom of public and art expression. And the 4th nomination, multifunctional museum, which will be entitled, and the working name is Museum of Freedom, Museum of Maidan. The initiative of setting up the Museum of Maidan was born in January this year, and that is when people started collecting artifacts. The working group on musification of these artifacts was set up. The Museum of Freedom is a post-Maidan initiative, and in October 2014, these two initiatives were united into one initiative, Museum of Freedom, Museum of Maidan. They are complementing each other, especially when it comes to the past and the future. And today, we have formed the understanding of the necessity of creating the institution of a new type, which has to impersonify the spirit of freedom, of Ukrainian freedom. And besides, and the fight is not over, but there is a big social demand of Ukrainians to implement in modern life the social practices which were developed in Maidan. Now we need to unite the country to find common what unites us, to act but not to complain, not to repeat the mistakes of Ukrainian history, to preserve artifacts and the memory of the heroes of the Revolution of Dignity. And this museum complex should become the platform for understanding. It will become the place of healing the society, and via common actions will be healing the traumas of our history. We have a social demand for a living museum, the center of democratic processes and fighting of the citizens of Ukraine for their rights, the center directed to the future. Museum complex is a special place where there should be the documentary evidence of the events of the Revolution of Dignity be stored and presented. And also this will be the center for consolidating the initiatives of the community. The museum will inspire us. It will be the place which is impossible not to visit while you are in Kyiv. There will be an international jury from known experts in the field of architecture, design, museums, people who are known and who are respected. There were 478 applications submitted to this competition from the best world and Ukrainian bureaus of the 40 countries of the world. As to the time frame, from the 1st of December till the 28th of February 2015, the competition design will last. March and May is the time for public discussions of the proposals. On the 30th of May of 2015, we will sum up the results of the competition. As to how the winner will be defined, there will be a profile jury working for each of the 4 nominations. We actively will involve the community. The public will vote. The Council of Public Experts will evaluate the projects, the designs. This will all be evaluated by the jury, which will take into account the opinion of experts and the public. And I would like to say that this whole process from the very beginning is transparent, is open. All the information is on the website which you see, and all the information as to the content of the tasks you will be able to see on the website, which the address of which you see here. Thank you for this information. We have questions. I personally understood only 2 last things: European House and Museum of Maidan. You're saying there will be the territory of dignity in the center of Kyiv. What will it be? Will there be some monuments or some memorial plaques, or what will it be? May I suggest that someone else answers? Please come up here, all the members. I am Svetlana Shlipchenko. I will tell you about the public space. We mean how to I will be talking about public space because I believe that is very important. The first idea was to put a monument. In the result of discussions, people understood that the territory of dignity provides for not just a monument. It means not just putting a monument, but we need to create a high-quality public space. Maybe you know what is a public space. A public space, open public space, is a space which is accessible to everyone. It's politically charged space. The space will not be like a Disneyland in Krishchatyk, so that there's no big flow of commercialization. We are suggesting to create a necklace of public spaces from Bessarabka to the Arch of Friendship of Peoples. And in these public spaces, they will be united by one common idea without a barrier, public space where everyone will have access, irrespective of their social status, irrespective of how they can move, whether they can move or not. What is important about public space? It's not just you can go and walk around, buy something, eat something in a restaurant, in a cafe, or have some coffee, talk to people, to friends. That's the place where a person can go to feel himself or herself part of the community, of the city, or of the country. There may be different events taking place there. This will be not a closed project. It's about an open space which is open for further improvements, transformations, experiments, whatever.
Дуже важливо зробити.
Any questions? But please, could you specify? The question of a colleague was right. What will it be? Will there be some monuments, benches?
Це простір, але
Да.
щось уточнити.
Це можуть бути і мощення.
This could be monuments, benches, fountains, flower beds, trees, lighting, bicycle, roads, the cinema under the open air, the stage for concerts, everything needed for special events which will unite people. It's not just for the citizens of the city, but for the citizens of the country. Besides, this is creating not a network. We would like not to have a network of public food. These will be some individual interesting things there. We will want to start a small and medium-sized business, but not in the form which is there. Andrei Kulikov, Public Radio. How will it differ from Krishchatyk and other streets and squares which are there now? Because now, do you mean that people cannot get together there, not from Kyiv, from the whole of Ukraine? What will be the difference? People can get together, and they do get together. No one will take away this meaning, the significance of the square for meetings. The Maidan is the place of political protest. But what we mean is when, well, you see, there's a tradition from the 19th century when Krishchatyk was made, there was designed as a big commercial street. I will remind you about this book, Hunting for Two Hares. People, Sunday and Saturday, people go to work in Krishchatyk. They go to work in Krishchatyk and they are looking for what to do there. You can go to a shop. You can. We don't have many places where you can sit with friends, when you can communicate. You can walk back and forth, the street musicians, and if you've seen that, when there's no traffic on Saturday, Sunday, people do not go there because this place is not part of your home. Of course, the pedestrians should have the priority. But it is impossible to make Krishchatyk pedestrian street place, but the priorities will be pedestrians and public transportation and then private cars. But do you mean that some part will not be for traffic. We were talking about the task. The task is described in detail. You were not probably present when we were discussing it, but this will be decided. What you see, this will be decided. 438 participants. We have 438 participants. What they submit, we will consider, and we'll be considering that openly. As to your question, Andrei, now there's no Maidan. Maidan in the sense like in old Greek, ancient Greek polis, there was Augura, where demos would get together, and they were talking to Demiurgi, like people can do that. We have never had it. We had authoritarian type of society, and Maidan was the place where there was nowhere to get together, and it was separated by Krishchatik. So we need to do everything possible to make it possible, so that this is the space that has been mentioned for people together. Let's leave it till we see the results of the competition. I understand when people ask the question, they want to see whether this will be a monument. Will there be a warrior with a shield, without a shield? No. What I mean is how much the form, which is not understandable now, and we understand that in the results of the contest we will understand. The functionality has been changed, but basically a lot of what we've heard in the task, this should be turned into public space. But it has become a public space already. But maybe not very pleasant one. We need to explain. You're right. The space has always been and will be public space. But whether this space is adequate to the status of the public, we cannot answer the question, what will Krishchatik be? We can say what Krishchatik will not be. It has to change. Krishchatik and Maidan, which is here, which it was before the revolution, it was the manifestation of the wild capitalism. It was like a triumph of cash. There's a parade, there's the president, and the president is on the background of the trading center. Krishchatik is a public space, but it's not comfortable. What we did, we took into account all the requests from the community, and the community wanted to see a cultural public space. We took into account the global experience, the best practices of creating such a space. After the revolution of dignity, we have a Ukrainian political nation, and Ukrainian political nation requires a new urbanistic architectural reflection of the central space, especially because this space coincides with the place of the revolution of dignity. And our task was to correctly put in words the request to the best designers of the world, so that they provide us options. And the council, the jury, the public will be able to select the best one, which would satisfy the requirements of the revolution of dignity of the whole Ukrainian people, so that it's at the level of the best world standards, the best technologies. And the answer, what it will look like, we'll understand it in the end of February when we see all the projects. Our task was to design the task. Sorry, very briefly, two more clarifications. A couple of words about financing. Will there be some money allocated? Where will investors come from?
When I introduced the idea of the contest and the details at the session of the Kyiv City Council, I suggested, and as far as I understand, the councillors supported the idea of the creation of the all-Ukrainian, and maybe not just Ukrainian, but international foundation to finance the contest. I only tell you about this, but I do understand that the top officials of the country and the city won't stand aside. And the idea of creating such a fund is not new, because in Kyiv we have two monuments that were erected because the population collected money to erect them. This is the monument to Magdeburg Law and Bogdan Khmelnytsky monument. This is a very good tradition. And the last very brief question. You said that commercialization and that your expert groups want the banks and restaurants to get away from Khreshchatyk. Maybe it was not I who said this, but this is our common thought, idea. How to do this? I know for sure that owners of the Globus Trade Center from both sides of Khreshchatyk, even before the applications were filed, visited me. They wanted to do something with their underground space, and I told them that the roof of your property is Maidan. So they brought two architects from the Netherlands, and they heard everything with their eyes bubbling out. And by the end of February, we'll see what they will do, because they understand very well. And not only owners of not only this trade centers came to me, but even those who only plan to open. And if the House of Trade Unions appears and they do not come to talk to us, by the way, the building of Ukrainian Cooperative Union came to see us, and they are working with the architects. I don't know what they are doing, but the process has been launched. If you mean how all these objects are situated in Khreshchatyk and in space, if they provide a joint decision of pedestrian space, this will be very, very good. Thank you very much. We'll wait for the results of the contest, and we, of course, invite you to announce them here, and Dmytro Shimkin will start his press briefing in a minute.